Hey y'all, Bearder Bros Golf Show. I'm Rod.
And Marcus.
Welcome back, y'all. Another week. We are doing our thing. It's a little bit slow here at the end of the year. Events still going on, but nothing significant. I do want to just lead off and say that there was a story a couple weeks ago. It's the title of our show today that I just flat out missed, and I think it was kind of blown under the rug a little bit. So apparently, the live golf folks approached the DP World Tour with some concessions, saying that they'd be willing to contribute like $6 million to the prize fund for the DP World Tour. Offered to do some negotiations around the fines that the live golf guys have incurred as a result of playing at conflicting events, namely John Rahm, main one leading that. Apparently, Pat Reed already paid his fines off on his own, which he's been trying to ball out on the DP World Tour, which a lot of them did this week at the Alfred Dunhill.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, man? And it seems like, well, to conclude the story, essentially the DP World Tour said, hey, one more fact. They also started talking about negotiating some weeks where Live Golf wouldn't play in conflict with the DP World Tour. And again, I think this ultimately leads to them trying to get more starts for their guys, more
Yeah.
qualified starts. But the DP World Tour rebuffed and said no, we're negotiating on behalf of the game as a whole. So kind of f you trying to cut the PGA Tour out of the mix. What do you think about that? It was this happened about 3 weeks ago. Small story that I found on I think it was ESPN, but yeah,
I mean, we kind of referenced it. You were talking about Pat Reed paying this fine so that he could play on the DP World Tour most of the season. But I mean, you know how it goes. Even with kids and a family, Pat Reed gonna play some golf. It don't matter where
yeah.
he at. He gonna play some golf. He be up freaking Malaysia playing golf. He gonna do it, and that's commendable. He is gonna get the
All
most out of
things,
his body while he can.
yeah, all things said about Patrick Reed, he will play some golf. He's a golf junkie.
He is gonna play. Yeah, I think it's all. I mean, it's good for the DP World Tour because again, they looking for funding regardless. And then it's a step in the right way for everybody because they're trying to relinquish some of this quote unquote power that they have, aka give up that money. That way, it's all gonna smooth everything over. But yeah, I mean, they need to keep pushing and telling them that they're gonna pay some money. And I bet you a lot of these people gonna try to be like, yeah, you know what? I guess I could hear you out a little bit about this. You know what? Maybe we could set a meeting up. You know what? Let me talk to my guys. You talk to your guys. We'll get something set up. As long as y'all talking about spending some bread out here. So, oh yeah,
But I think that's the thing with it so commendable about the DP World Tour that they're standing on business and not being moved and being pulled apart because I think ultimately they see, yeah, the live is offering us up something in the interim, but long term a lot of our bread is buttered with the PGA Tour, right? I think
oh
they
for sure,
probably
yeah.
see
They know better
more.
than to just go out crazy like that
Yeah.
because, I mean, it's just like, I mean, they're the Corn Ferry Tour, but for actual pros, not just like a lot of the college guys, and it's international because they're offering PGA membership if you win or if you're top of the leaderboard or whatever on the DP World Tour now. So they are already in cahoots with the PGA. So I need some turn your head money, or else we're not even going getting into more negotiations. But yeah, they got the little pinky promise, and they didn't put they didn't cross their fingers behind their back when they was with the PGA Tour. So good on them for that
Right.
as well, for sure.
Right.
Absolutely,
And
I agree.
that's even after kind of Keith Pelly, who we were big fans of, left the DP World Tour earlier in the year to kind of
Yeah,
move back to Canada and do his thing. So he was a good
yeah,
leader for the group, but it seems like their leadership has continued to do so to really just do well and have some morals about themselves going forward. So you love to see that, right? I mean, I get it. Like
definitely.
everybody's got a price at some point,
Yeah,
but apparently Liv has not been willing to do it, even though it's very clear that their folks need to get points.
Right.
And just going forward, if they're going to continue to qualify for majors and get some exemptions here and there, and I know that some other pathways have been opened up, like hey, the PGA of America is saying, hey, live guys can participate in Ryder Cup, etc. But they're not going to qualify based on points. They're going to have to get captain's picks. So
Captain's picks, yeah.
whoop de whoop de doo, they can participate. But again, their path isn't as straightforward as they would
Yeah.
have liked. So speaking of kind of their guys getting some run on the DP World Tour, some notables. Again, we mentioned John Rahm last week. Brooks Koepka teed it up in the Alfred Dunhill this week. I was surprised
Got
by
paired
that
up
one.
with John Rahm in the same group.
Yeah, played
And
middle of the
Rory was
pack.
with Billy. Oh,
Terrell Haddon, Taylor Gooch, apparently the best iron player in the world. Patrick Reed, Hudson Swadford, which that boy. David Puig has proven himself to be a good Thursday to Saturday golfer, but come Sunday, these last couple of weeks, he's really crapped the bed. Eugenio Chikara, Louis Oosthuizen, Brandon Grace, which he has apparently faced relegation on the Live Golf this year, so it'll be interesting to see where his career ends up
yeah.
next year. Dean Burmeister, Peter Uline, and Matt Jones all participated in the Alfred Dunhill with our guy Tyrrell Haddon, angry Smurf. Tyrrell Haddon playing with his dad ended up winning for the third time at the Alfred Dunhill. So good on him for
Yeah.
keeping his game in shape and getting the reps. And you've seen him, participating on the DP World Tour. Again, I think he's another golf junkie, somebody who just loves kind of self tortured, loves playing golf. What do you
Yeah.
think about my man getting the victory today?
I mean, I was ready to, do our usual 1-2 zingers. They were ready for 3 rounds, but when it came to that fourth round, they just didn't have enough juice. But Cosarts is coming off of injury, so just him being even in the mix is good on his part. So I know he's already happy about that, and I think he got his card back for the DP World Tour with that finish. So Nicholas Kosar's did
Uh,
what he was supposed to do. Tyrrell Hadden, won his individual stuff, but I think Torbjorn Olesen won the team thing with his guy or whatever. So yeah, he made a putt on the absolute last hole, um, or he made birdie. I don't know how he did it, but I mean, I
yeah,
was getting ready for work.
Terrell hadn't chipped up. He was a little bit behind Colsarts. They were essentially on the same line,
Saw
right
that
in front
part.
of the green.
Yeah,
Yeah, the downside to me is that Colsarts chose to putt it up the hill,
no
which was
hands.
an interest. Yeah, which was an interesting choice, and not that they're the same comparable player, but Tyrrell Hatton's dad had chosen the shot right before that. He was right of Colsart's, tried to putt up the slope, and it ended up catching the low side of the slope, and it came back. And
Yeah,
essentially, Colsart's left himself too far underneath the hole with that putt versus pulling out, some kind of wedge. I don't know. I would have taken a chance.
yeah. You're
Wasn't
going for
able to
the
convert
win,
for the. You have to, right? The, I mean, either way, you end up in the same position.
right?
Let's say you have a bad chip. I don't know.
You're
That
underneath the
just
hole.
seems. Yeah, and he had room to work with. Take it up the right hand side of that little slope, and it would have brought the ball back in as Terrell Hatton did. So,
Yeah,
you can always second guess it, but when I saw him back up with the putter in his hand after really overanalyzing it, But hey, good on him for having a good showing, and also good on Terrell Hatton for capturing the win, and I'm sure that gives him some points. And he never really had a drastic drop in the
yeah.
world ranking because he left a little later than most people. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah,
Yeah, shout out to him. But listen, let's be real. It's just a quick side note. Tyrell need to let it go, brother. Like you just need to let it go. That
with a
top
hair.
side, yeah. Oh my God, it is fading fast, brother. He puts that hat. He takes that hat off, shakes them hands, and puts that hat. So he don't even let it go off the brim of his head. It's so bad. He just put the hand up, shake hands, and put the hat right back on. It's okay. I'm
Yeah.
almost there too, Tiro. I'm trying a few last minute things. I don't. My hairline ain't as sturdy as Rod's. You know, I always tell people, Rod got everything. I just got the height. He got the hairline. He got the looks. He got all the
Whatever.
girls. Yeah, bro.
Whatever,
I'm
man.
catching up still, man. All I got is a 6'2" frame. I'm sorry.
Whatever, bro. So that's the live news for the week. I just thought it was interesting that we missed that story. Essentially, that again, DP,
It just wasn't bigger
them
news
trying to get
because
deep.
it's not PGA related. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
DP
know,
World
and
Tour,
it's
so they're
not.
not.
Yeah, but all I
It's
took
not
it
a
as is
league.
that hey, they were trying to do it on the back end. That's the crappy part of it. So,
All right, for sure.
um,
They're trying to come in on the cheap
so
end.
no doubt, no doubt. On the PGA Tour, the Sanderson Farms Championship had a late playoff finish today. We were kind of talking about it right before we hopped on. Kevin Yu gets his maiden PGA Tour victory in year two of his career. Went down to a playoff with Bo Hostler, who feels like he's been out on the PGA Tour for quite some time. He's in year eight, has had 199 starts, which is pretty prolific. He's playing a lot of golf,
Jeez.
in 8 years, and so he's grinding it out, trying to get some wins, and he's been close quite a few times. Unfortunately, today, hole 72, him going down his final hole, puts it in the left hand trees, has to punch out, hits a nice wedge from 133 out to get it, within a puttable distance that he
Yeah.
makes, goes into the playoff with you. Prior to that, um, I'm forgetting his name. We just talked about him.
Keith Mitchell.
Keith Keith Mitchell choked on 872 as well, three putting. Didn't watch his putt. I watched the post game interview with him. He said after the first putt missed, he thought he had it, and then when it turned away, he stopped looking at it, so he didn't see the through line, and then missed the comebacker, not reading it properly. So that's a tough way to not go into the playoff. But he essentially said, I didn't deserve to get there, which is cool. He handled it pretty well, handled it like a
Yeah.
gentleman. Bo Hostler does the same thing, just not quite as drastic on the first playoff hole. Puts it on the left hand side, hits an incredible bunker shot.
You got some relief
After
too.
Yeah, I got a little bit of relief. Didn't have to wrestle with the tree, but just didn't sling it out far enough to the right and put it in the left hand bunker. Hits an incredible bunker shot, but you hits the clutch putt. He had a really good approach shot as well, which put the
Yeah.
pressure on Hostler going in. He put it right next to the hole. So it's pretty much not a foregone conclusion, but the pressure was on, and you ended up closing it out. What do you think about my man, Arizona State product, Chinese Taipei? His mentor is CT Pan, both from
It's
Chinese
CT Pan.
Taipei.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
yeah. What
Yeah.
do you
I
think about my guy?
mean, game looked good. I mean, swing looked pretty fluid. I mean, it's really our first time seeing him, but I mean, the playoff hole, he had the thing teed up. He just, it's really about the breaks because that thing could have went anywhere for Bo Hostler off his tee shot on the playoff hole, where it went up the path a few bumps and then it finally just turned over left and went behind that tree. But I mean, once you get the rules official in there following, he gives you sight of line relief, gives you an opportunity to get closer to the fairway, and you get a good lie as well. I think we really just taken away some excuses there. To me personally, but Kevin, you
The
stepped
pressure.
up.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
was
pressure.
pressure,
But
but
what was the relief? I did not hear it. I was driving at the
grandstands.
time.
They said the
Oh
grandstands were in
Lord,
their way, and the grandstands were behind the tree that was directly in front of him.
exactly.
Again, like I
Hey,
said, he got some crazy relief, and it is what it is. But the 18th hole, he didn't get any relief and just had to hit it out of the pine straw back to the fairway. But
right.
whatever. Kevin Yu stepped up, bombed it, had a great lie, missed a divot. So
Missed the
he
divot in the
had
fairway by like half an inch.
right, and it ended up being like a perfect setup, as if you were on the
Yeah.
range. It lined up perfectly. He striped it, probably played like a chopped off seven. And I mean, he was flag hunting the whole way. He put the pressure on, and Bo had to come up with a shot. He almost hold it on the bunker shot, but just like you said, just not enough. And he'll live to fight another day. I mean, bro is 25 starts a year. He gonna be all right. He gonna play again.
Yeah. Yeah, he's made like $11 million on tour so far. He's doing all
Yeah.
right for himself. So let's hit this Kevin Yu what's in the bag. We'll go through it pretty quickly. He's a pretty primarily a Callaway staffer. So if you didn't know, that is Kevin Yu's face, as you said pre-show. A little bit of Xander Schauffele in him.
That is Oriental Xander Schauffele right
No,
there for you.
no, we don't use that word. That is a no word.
Oriental is not a good word.
It is not. It is horrible. Don't use that word.
Okay.
Arizona State product. Um, did I? My slides got out of line, so I'll jump and come back. So he's playing the Callaway AI Smoke TD Max 8.5 set at 8.9 degrees. Mitsubishi Tensei, excuse me, 1K, the white version. The 70 grams, so a little not heavier, but Tourex Flex. Because I said I was going to try to give the 50 gram a go and see what happens with that. And
Mhm.
then his shaft is set at 45.25 inches, and I ran out of space and didn't want to put it up here. But he's also tipped at an inch as well. Any comments here?
No, I mean he's playing the AI Smoke Max, so he can just grip it and rip it pretty much. And then with the way
Yep.
that the moment of inertia is set up, even if you're playing a below 9 degree driver, it's still gonna get up at a decent trajectory and give you a carry. So I think he's all right.
And then playing the Callaway Paradigm TDHL 16.5 set at 15.5. Again, with the Tensei 1K at 80X and then set at 43. So pretty standard setup there. Nothing too unique.
Hmm.
Again, availability of his stuff was like on the Johnny Wonder page. And so anything that was non Callaway, they just skipped over. Let's
Yeah,
go back to this utility. So they luckily Golf WRX posted this right before we went on. Playing the Shrixon ZX Mark II utility, the three hybrid, or excuse me, three iron, and that's at 20 degrees. Little bit chunky boy there,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
guess he's using
Forgiven
this in
rollout.
lieu, yeah, in lieu of the hybrid in
Yeah,
the bag or some kind of additional 5 wood or something. Let's keep it rolling. And in all his irons, including this one, he's playing the True Temper um, Dynamic Gold Tour Issue X100. So a pretty
yeah,
light shaft on his iron. So 4 through 9 playing the Callaway Apex TCB Raw. We had some comments a couple weeks ago, I think, when we were going over Xander's bag, maybe. Just that, Callaway makes a solid iron. They don't really promote the crap out of their irons, to be
yeah,
honest. I feel like they really just lean into the drivers and the woods, but they don't really put a lot of marketing behind their iron line. But they're solid clubs,
yeah.
reviewed very well, and clearly their staffers put them in the bag. Any comments here?
Yeah, the X100 is just the label of the club. I'm pretty sure if it's a tour issue, it's still probably closer to like 130 or so or something like that. From what I remember
Okay.
when I was, going through and doing the club selector, you know how golfers do. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna buy the club, but I want to see what it would cost and what it looks like if I were
Right.
to.
Just
So
specking it out.
yeah,
In the pitching wedge 52, which is really 51.5, and then his 56, rocking the Callaway Jaws Raw. Again, some alternative uh, lofts here 45.5, 51.5, and then 56 was just straight up. And then again, continued with that Dynamic Gold Tour Issue
yeah,
X100. And
chilling.
then we had, yeah, the
There we
60
go.
with the K grind, the True Temper. No, because again, because the original "What's in the Bag" came from a Callaway page, they just excluded it, and I'm like, okay, we're missing some clubs. So I figured
Yeah,
there
I'm
was some
counting in my
off
hand.
Callaway stuff. Like,
Like
where are the clubs?
45,
Where are we missing?
52, 56. That's 13. Hold up. There it is right there.
Yep. So this
Very
wedge
good.
works. This is super popular, especially in the
Mm-hmm.
60. We've been seeing this throughout bags all year that they
Yeah.
go away from either, even if they're a Titleist player, they go out of the, you know, um, standard SM10,
Mm-hmm.
SM9, SM8 to go to the wedge works. And then at this 60, just a little more versatility, wide sole. What do you think?
Yeah, but it's like you can dig if you need to, but it's very shallow. Like it's hardly any bounce, especially 50, 58 and up on any Vokey wedge is going to be pretty low on the grind. Like I have an M grind 58 and it's an 8 bounce, but I can open that thing, I can open it up, I can close it down, and it's going to, the turf interaction is still going to be relatively the same. It's still very smooth. So I think that's why every player is like really gravitating towards it, especially when you're
Yeah.
doing one shot with it. They're doing chips with it. They're doing bunker game with that. They're not over here going and playing a 56 from around the green and stuff like that. Maybe on occasion, but guys like this, they have one club that they chip with, and they're going to go with something that they know is a capital gain and something that they can count on.
Right. You're not playing this out of the fairway.
Yeah, no.
Not very often, at least. And the Odyssey AI One Milled 6T, he was playing like a old school white hot proto kind of half mallet. So this
Hmm.
is his putter. Pretty standard stuff with that. Odyssey makes a great putter. Said I'm looking at the white hot that he was playing before. I was like, oh, this is a sexy little club. I'd consider switching to an Odyssey, but
If I was going, I don't know. I also like ping putters, but the older generation, when the face was really really soft, and it was kind of like that muted noise. But I'm really in love
yeah,
with the Scotty. But Odyssey, I had an Odyssey mallet in the bag for easily 5 years. It was definitely my go-to. It was definitely one of my favorite putters that I've had in my bag. So I definitely
yeah,
agree with the Odyssey look always being good.
yeah, for sure. And then playing the Chrome Tour X, pretty straightforward again as a
Yeah,
Callaway staffer. No surprises there. Solid ball. We've talked about the improvements that the Chrome Tour has made. A lot less spinny than it used to be. So it really
yeah,
stepped up its game as a tour ball. Early iterations of the Callaway Chrome, bad ball, way
very.
too spinny, especially for a tour level ball. I'm not a tour level player, but I'm super high spin, and that thing would just balloon up on me all the time,
Hmm.
and I would lose a ton of distance. So, um, yeah. So that is Kevin Hughes. What's in the bag? Congratulations to my man for getting his first PGA Tour win at the Sanderson Farms Championship today. I had a couple of articles pulled up as a lot of our fellow golfers in the Northeast are probably um, getting to the end of days for golf for this season. I saw a post the other day from our boy Roger Steele. Shout out to Roger Steele on the, making his name in the Creator Classic this year. But he had a post talking about if y'all get a 60-degree day at this point. He's a native of Chicago. He's like, y'all better
Call off.
drop everything, just do everything to go play. So I was kind of scouring the internet and looking for articles to kind of discuss for as an amateur golfer, what should you do going into the off season and preparing for the off season. So I wanted to find one that had a lot of different options, things that I would probably agree with in some cases, but also disagree. So I'm going to go through this list, and we'll go through it pretty quickly, add some quick commentary, and move through because I think there's like 19 things on this list. So this one's from an article from the Left Rough. I don't know how that this person's still posting. This article wasn't even dated. So um, golf off season: 19 ways to sharpen your game. Rest and recharge. I know for us in the southern. Let me pull this up screen. But the first one's rest and recharge. Just a
Agree,
ton of
kind
art.
of.
I kind of don't because for us we don't stop playing. I want to say there was literally like 1 week last year that I didn't play, or have
Yeah.
some level of golf involvement, no practice, that it was just too bad of weather to actually get out and do anything. So what do you think about rest and recharge? You said to a certain degree.
To a certain degree, yeah, I do agree. But again, I mean, it ain't gonna be much more than like a week or a few days.
For
So I
us.
don't really,
For
yeah,
us.
because me personally, even if I feel like I just am angry at myself and my game, the bug is still biting, and I'm still gonna look at my clubs. And I work in the golf industry. I can't get away from it even if I wanted to. It would take
Yeah.
like prime example, and we'll move on. Remember the time? Well, chat viewers, Rod came down for a Mother's Day round. I was still playing basketball. I was very active. I literally dislocated one of my fingers and fractured the other one and played the Jim Furyk grip and still played just so that I could get some golf in with my brother. So that's how you know how dedicated I am to this thing. And
We're
yeah,
playing here. We got 19 of these to go through, my guy.
yeah,
So,
I just
but
want to know.
for I know for the Northeast folks, I would say who are going to be sitting out for it's at the longest stretch, 5 months. You know, like you might start slowing down here in this month, next month might be fully out of it, and you don't get back into it until March or April. I know that when our visit to Chicago last year, there were a ton of these indoor facilities that have been coming
Yeah,
around as they know people want to play golf year round. I would caution against that. Prime example, you're playing off of mats, and to me, unless you get blessed with one of those mats that kind of have some real feedback and not the really tight lie mats, that can really mess up your game because you can be striking it pretty bad, and the mats give you the illusion that it's not as bad, especially if you're not in tune with the results. Don't necessarily, you may be able to hit it straight, but if you're feeling, like you're not catching the ball first or catching mat first, I don't know. It's deceptive, and I think it can mess up your game more, do more damage than you can actual positive stuff. So I
yeah,
kind of agree with this. If you're going to be sitting out for 5 months, keep it rolling here. Sorry, there's a ton of ads on this freaking page. Uh, Stay off YouTube. We've talked about this before, and the only thing I'm going to say is I disagree, and for the reason that you need to find somebody consistent and that resonates with you, and you can use YouTube properly. Bouncing
right.
around to every instructor out there, not a good look.
Yeah, if you're searching for your
Anything?
game, don't get on YouTube. But if you're trying to shore some things up or find a practice routine or find a golf specific workout, then yeah, you need to be on YouTube. Don't don't defer to always going to somebody in person when you can save some bread and save yourself some sanity by just getting on YouTube and watching a quick 3 or 4 minute video. You got your phone in your hand. You sit in front of a laptop half the day, anyways, at work. You might as well take a little, sensory break and get you some golf in. So, yeah, I disagree with that a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Get stronger. I agree with this one, and I think
Yep,
that's the next tip as well. Let me scroll down a little bit. Yeah, all the next three I think I agree with fully. All
yep,
season is time to get strong. You know, get in the weight room. Get a body weight workout going. I think this is a great period to work on your body, and it only helps with golf. In addition to
yeah,
just your lifestyle in general, but it will help your golf game out tremendously to get stronger. Particularly, they say focus on your legs and core. Agree with that. Work on the big muscles, and I think you'll notice it in your swing. Things become a little bit easier.
yeah. Definitely
Next one
agree.
is increase your flexibility. You know what resonates is when I last saw your boy Michael, he was talking about that's one of the things that he was really working on is flexibility, in
Yeah,
his body, and spoke to the merits of that. What do you got here?
same. I mean, it's just I mean, people always joke about yoga, but yoga is amazing. So people need to buy into that more. It's just like it's not even extreme stretching. It's just more organized stretching, and somebody's leading you. It's just like what you would do in the first part, and then you're just constantly working on different positions. Also helps out with core a lot. So yeah, I definitely agree with that with flexibility. And then again, easy way to do it: find you one yoga teacher and get on YouTube and follow them. They have a lot of free 30-minute segments that'll help you out with your stretching and get you warmed up for your round. So yeah, I don't see why people would not be doing that.
And right, especially if you're locked in the house.
Yeah,
Take 100 practice swings a day. I wholeheartedly agree with this. I'll
disagree.
tell you, some of the best work I've ever done. You disagree?
I don't
Okay,
think you
but let
need
me tell you
100.
why I agree. Okay, that's fair. It's a lot. I mean, that's excessive. But they are saying doing it at 50 to 60% speed and without a club. So this is more probably mirror practice and form. I would say that I've made the biggest improvements to my game without actually hitting a ball. I would say
Yeah,
early on in my golf playing days, I just jumped out there raw and just started playing golf with no instruction, no idea what I was doing. And then probably shortly after I started playing, picked up Ben Hogan's, book, his
five
book
good
about the
lessons.
five, keys to golf. Yes, and grip was the most important thing, and I think that's one of the things that I would probably say is keep a familiar touch on the golf club, right? Nothing like that. Oh, I've been off, a period of time, a couple weeks, and you grab the club and it feels like a foreign instrument in your hand. I think for that purpose, keeping the club consistent, setting up a practice area in your house if you have space for that, which I think is down below. But a little bit of inside chipping. But I kind of agree with the take 100 practice swings a day to a
Yeah,
certain degree
and
with some
yeah, to a
format. What
exactly. I'm more of a 50 swings type deal, but that's because club in hand. And that's the thing, you slow mo it. You put your hands on there the correct way, working on the grip, just like you said. Then you work on putting the club down in a good position, not too far away from you, working on your stance and your posture. And then it's a slow motion swing. If I can get my brain to recollect how to swing the club by working on positions and slowly forming that muscle memory, that's going to work out a lot more than me doing as most amateurs would do, which is I don't know how my grip is going to feel. I'm just putting them together and then I'm doing a bunch of this in the mirror. That's not conductive to good golf. So that's the only reason why I disagree. Make it intentional, make it 50 good slow motion swing, not 50%. I'm talking 10%. I'm talking so slow, it's agonizingly slow. So slow, you're like,
okay.
am I doing it slow enough? And you tell them no, you go slower. That slow.
Okay. Um, Increase your swing speed. Also agree with this one. I want to say go. So the last two off seasons for me personally, I've tried to work on. We've had a couple of rough winters prior to last year. Last year wasn't bad at all, but we've had some harsher ones before. And I would come back in the regular season not playing well. Not getting a lot of distance off the drives, and it had nothing to do with cooler temperatures. It was just I wasn't in the right shape to play. So I bought a little cheapo swing weight trainer off of Amazon, and it's been incredible. There's more expensive systems out there, but this has done the trick for like 40 something bucks, and I'll link it down below as well in the post. But yeah, increasing your swing speed in addition, this kind of also rolls into work out, get in shape, do some things,
Yeah.
to work on your body. But there are some specific tools to help swing speed as well. And you'll thank yourself. You'll come out of the off season playing a lot better than your mates. And I think that's, a good feeling to not feel like you're starting over and kind of regaining your momentum by the time you hit late spring or summer. So something to think about. Apparently, my internet's acting up. Thanks for the heads up.
Just a little bit.
Switch back. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, swing
So they recommend
speed.
swings.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Creating,
No,
I
I
mean,
wasn't
creating
saying anything.
swing speed is workout based, and also just like you said, getting you a good swing trainer.
Analyze your game. We've talked about this quite a bit, and I have a couple of vids up on the channel. Is video yourself.
Yeah,
There's a lot of ways to videotape yourself these days. Tripods are super cheap. A lot of golf specific things that you can pick up to actually video your swing, have one of your friends do it. That way you have some, especially when you're playing well. That's one of Nelly Corda's number one things to do is go back and look at those swings when you're playing well and
yeah,
try to get yourself back in that position. So I think looking at your game, looking at scores from an analytical
right.
standpoint. So I've kept every scorecard this year and par four, par three, four, five scoring. How did I do? Putts, all those different things, and see what you can work on in the off season. What
Yeah.
would you add to that?
Exactly that. Either if you're not keeping up with your score or putting it somewhere, either in your gym or like you introduced me to with the Grint, where you're keeping all your scores, and it's pretty extensive with how it lets you put in bad shot, fairway bunker shot, up and down, sandy, and stuff like that. You need to be keeping a mental tally of that stuff or writing it down if that works. I think when you're I think the most important thing is writing down a plan with your analyzation so that when you do have an actual off season or if you do have some time away from the game, you have a chance to one, look up some YouTube videos for some quick fixes, two, go to a short game area or something around or like just to the putting green and work on these few things. So I personally try to keep stats on, fairways, greens and red, putts, and then of course, fairways hit and stuff like that. So just the big four, but
Yeah,
you know, that will always tell you what you need to do. Okay, if I'm missing to the right, then I need to either be working on my alignment if I'm consistently missing to the right, or I need to work on a different shot shape to where I'm playing for this right miss. So, just common sense things like that. But I agree with the analyzation of your game
right.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And just things that you can work on in the off season. I didn't really love this one. Testing out golf equipment. I don't like a lot of tinkering. I rather you get fit in the first place
Right.
and work with what you got versus just tinkering for the sake of tinkering. Like right now, like I wouldn't change anything about my club setup. I'm in a really good spot where I've been fit for driver, fit for irons. I'm not doing anything with equipment in the off season. So I think if you go about this a different way, like build it backwards, where if you're getting fit properly, you don't have to do that as much. So I didn't necessarily agree with this one.
Yeah, I think testing out new golf equipment is dumb. Now, if you're a few generations back, getting fit and going from there is the route. Now, if I just am getting tired of my G405 or my 410 and I just want to play around with the idea of something, but in the end I know it's not going to be the best fit for me. Why would I even put my brain through that? We all know how much of a mental game this game is. There is no reason to put more mental strain on yourself and on your game by testing out stuff that you know is just going to be either a tease or something that's not going to be very, productive towards your game. Now, me personally,
Right.
as a master fitter or former master fitter, let me not say that I'm a master fitter right now, but you know, as I've delved into that type of deal, I know what I need to be swinging. I know what shot characteristics I need to be playing towards So for me, I don't even test out new stuff. I can just order it and know that it's going to be productive for me, or know what shaft that is interchangeable for me with the stock shaft that they have that's going to work best for my game. So it's a
But I
slippery
think that's
slope.
that's advanced, right? A
Exactly.
lot of people just don't have that feel and knowledge.
Exactly, or money. So again, don't put yourself in that situation if you know you can't spring on this stuff that's eye candy for you. 100%. You're right.
Yeah. Quick note to the last one. I would say test out equipment based on your game's analyzation. So if you know you're trash
Right.
with your driver, so you're playing a tailor-made R11, go get fit for a driver in the off season. That's maybe something you would consider. I think the tough
Agreed.
thing is that anytime you get a new club, there is an adjustment period, and depending on how much you play after that, it may take a while for you to get adjusted. Right? So I play weekly, a couple times a week, whatever. So when I get new clubs, I'm getting onto it pretty quickly. But if
Right.
you're, once a month, once every other week, you may not adjust as quickly. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, not really agree with that one. Just that one's slippery slope. This one I absolutely disagree with. This shit is like way over the top. Hire a
Yeah, skip.
psychologist. That's not for me. And unless you have some deeper aspirations with the game and you're actually going to turn it into a career or something, I think that's way over the top for the AM. Golf's
Yeah,
too mental
skip.
for that. And yeah, go to real therapy for other life issues. I guarantee there's something in your life you probably need to speak to a therapist about, and it ain't sports. So keep
Right.
that moving. I kind of alluded to this one earlier. Buy an indoor putting green and chipping bucket. I agree with this. Get you a good putting mat, something that's
Yeah.
got some decent space to it. And chip. You can use. They have all kinds of indoor games that you can use to entertain yourself. I picked up on a couple. Look like cornhole. Really fun to use indoor, and just give you a chance to work on your, chipping links, how far to take it back to get it going, a certain distance, within a safe distance within your house. This is super effective. And a
Yeah.
couple of years ago, I picked up a putting green and didn't love it, but I use it. I think I was using it more for distance control versus just technique. And once I started focusing more on just technique, getting the ball rolling straight, I transfer these tools. How to use them is super important.
Agreed. Definitely for sure an indoor putting green. Tough to always, have the space or the time for, chipping buckets and, household games like that, but you always have time to hit a few putts, make sure you're rolling
Yeah.
it straight. This will be the one ball that you use the alignment line on. This is the one ball that you're going to be using a really good receptive ball so you can feel what it's like to hit it out of the middle and what it's like to hit it out of, the correct line that's going down your putting green and whatnot.
Yeah, get it started. Yeah, if you put a mark on your ball and you start and it starts wobbling immediately, work on
Yeah,
that.
you
That
got
makes
some
a
work to
huge
do.
difference on course.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna zoom past this next one because it just says it's promoting the Decades app. I said I was gonna invest in that Decade app, which is a guy that's worked with Will Zalatoris and a few other pros. Um, it's more of a course strategy guide, but I think this kind of
Yeah,
goes back to that analyzation part. I think he's promoting the product, which I said I was going to give it a whirl and a review, which I still will. So that's one of the things that I really want to focus on is course management. Plan a bucket list trip. I agree with this one. Nothing like doing it in the off season, get ahead of it.
yeah,
Nothing like a good golf trip. If you've never been on a golf trip with your siblings, your bros, that's nothing like it, man. Memories for a lifetime.
wholeheartedly agreed. It's time for us to plan our next one.
Work on Yeah, work on your pre-shot routine. I agree with this one. Stepping into the ball with the same pattern. I caught a video on Instagram, I want to say a couple weeks ago, that Tiger Woods' routine pre-shot has been the same from his junior days all the way up to now. So that's crazy to have the consistency of 30 plus years of doing the same thing, walking into the ball. But
Yeah.
if it's good enough for Tiger to do the same thing before a shot, it's good enough for all of us too.
Right. And I think that's also has to deal with now, again, that is 1000% what you need to be doing. But it also just speaks to how much of a psychopath Tiger is for him to just sit here and be like, yo, no, I don't need to change any of that, bro. Like, don't ask me or
Well,
nothing,
yeah.
bro. You should skip
I
14
agree. I
too.
disagree. I agree. I disagree with that one. That's kind of like
Yeah.
same thing, hitting off of the indoor. Top Golf messed my game up early on. This weekend, I played at a place that we're in Texas, so natural ranges are the norm. This
Yeah.
place was hitting off of mats, and I 2 days later still hadn't recovered, gotten that out of my system. I hate hitting out of artificial surfaces. Like if I lived in the UK, I could watching Mark Crossfield when they're playing in the off season off of mats for like par threes and stuff.
Yeah.
Bet that would mess me up. So I disagree with visitor golf. Sell old golf clubs. This one's kind of random. It's kind of clearing out your old stock. I'm sorry. My old clubs are going to continue getting dust on them in my garage
Yeah, bro.
until I pass
Please.
away. So
You're taking
I'm not
away
selling my
memories
old
from me,
stuff.
no? Yeah, exactly. Don't play that. You're taking memories away from me. It's the same thing as a bucket list golf trip. I think about my clubs and the shots I've hit with those clubs, the rounds I've had with them. Yeah, stop.
Right.
Stop.
Yeah. Watch golf movies and read golf books. I think this one can be somewhat mental. I mean, the golf movies are cool, right? But
Yeah.
reading a bunch of golf books that may have different voices from different authors, be careful with that. I'm not saying don't
Yeah.
do it, but I think it also depends on what you're seeking out. Like right now, I'm listening on Audible to a book, and I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Consistently break 80, and dude's hammering home short game, short game, short game. That's chips around the greens, which I agree with. And he's getting into some
Yeah.
other stuff now. But yeah, make it selective, make it personalized. Don't just pick up a random golf book. Um, so be very selective.
Agreed. Watch golf movies for the enjoyment. Read a few books to hone in some things, some thoughts that you have. But yeah, it's no
I
reason
will,
for you to just sit there and
I will
consume
say
yourself.
no. School of Golf on with I forget last name
Martin
Martin.
Hall,
What's the instructor's name?
Martin
Martin
Hall,
Hall.
he's
Dude,
a great
he's
guy.
got a heck of a library of content that Golf Channel is constantly playing from years and years. I caught one like early
Still,
this morning, woke up on the couch. Still
still resonates.
useful thing is finding, and then you can find them online too. Martin Hall School of Golf. Go check some of those videos out to watch in the off season. Again, goes back to consistent teaching principles, but he's a really good one that you can find, especially if you're just sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah,
I agree with this one. Toughen up and play golf. So, um, even it's a certain temperature for me, 50 degrees and windy and chilly. That's kind of my
no,
cutoff, and where I would play some really bad golf. And kind of resigned myself a couple of years ago that I was going to get better because at that point it becomes more mental than anything.
yeah.
So I agree with that. Playing in some tough temperatures, one gives you an appreciation when the temperatures do warm up, but also kind of toughen your game up as well. What do you think about that one?
I mean, I agree. I mean, my birthday is on Thanksgiving. We very rarely get perfect days around my birthday, so it is what it is. And me and you are always going to get some type of golf in. I think we got
Right.
blessed last year. We got Tangle Ridge on a good day, but even then, it was still too hot. We had on pants, like a quarter zip. It was like 80 degrees and sunny. It was the craziest thing ever.
Right.
But Other than that, yes, you got to be able to play in multiple conditions. Because when you start, if you feel like you're going to take it to the next game, the next level, you got to be able to play in multiple different assets and multiple different facets. I mean, like um prime example, if you got a serious money game or serious money league that you're in, they're not gonna give two craps about it being 60 degrees, chance of rain, and blowing two clubs. Boy, you better go out there and make that money. You paid for the tea time. You in the
Right.
groove. Come on, bro. Don't be like that.
Yeah.
Just go on out there.
So yeah, I agree. I think it builds character. So go do it.
Especially as
This
a
one
Texan.
go together points. Yeah. Create an indoor practice facility. This one's kind of combined with the other one with the
Yeah,
chipping and
repeat
putting
stuff.
areas. Same thing. I'm not
Same.
gonna
Yeah.
rehash
19
that.
is the same thing. Yeah.
Set goals and make a plan. I definitely agree. Yeah, it's pretty simple stuff. So I just thought that was
Yeah.
interesting to go through as we approach the off season for our northern counterparts. So northern U.S., Canada. That's the highest viewership we have in the on the show. So yeah, get your game off season ready. There's another article I linked about shoes. We'll review that next week. We're kind of competing with Sunday Night Football. Cowboys are about to come on, do what they do against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see. What do you think, man? Any early predictions?
The best thing to do for my sanity is to go on and say that they're going to lose. That way I can enjoy the game regardless.
Apparently it's been delayed, according to the ESP app. Apparently,
Well, if it's in
um,
Pittsburgh, they have terrible weather year round. So, yeah, that is believable.
okay.
I will say,
Before we go ahead, I was gonna say any other random stuff you want to talk about before we hop.
I will say, speaking of the article, I will say that it is good for you to think about goals other than improving like at individual aspects, score monikers, like what you're trying to hit. Now, this could go any which way for any golfer. You could be a skilled golfer. I'm trying to break such and such a certain amount of times. Like for me, I'm trying to break 75, which is, at our course, three over. If I can get it to within that, that means I'm scoring well. That means I'm getting up and down. I will live with three up. I will live with three over par every day of the week. And then you go from there, and then you're like, okay, it's time to build. It's time to get under par. It's trying to get more even par rounds. And I feel like I've been slumped. I feel like I plateaued. So it is always good to think about score and a goal of what score you want to set for that next year. Not necessarily, not necessarily, individual things, but put it all together. Okay, this year I'm not trying to shoot 80 rounds over 85. This round, I'm not trying to shoot any rounds above 100, regardless of how much I drank, it being over 100 degrees, it being raining half the round, stuff like that. So that would be the only thing that I would expound upon with that last goal. But yeah, I don't have anything else other than that. Basketball's getting ready to start up. You know how me and Rod feel about that. We're never going to shut up and dribble. We're always going to have some things to say about that, regardless of the YouTube comments and trolls that we have had in the past. So, excited to get all these games going and all this playoff talk. And then, we're in the middle of football season. So, we are in sports heaven as it is. It's either now or it's what is our next best month? April, but there's no football. So we're kind
Yeah,
of,
it's a good spot where some golf is still going on. You know, playoff baseball is been
November,
pretty
best
lit this
month.
year.
It really
It's
has.
been pretty lit. Yeah. So let me ask you a random question. It's kind of related but unrelated.
Okay.
When trying to achieve a goal, do you think it's best to keep your goals to yourself and just kind of pop out with success, or do you think it helps to motivate you by sharing your personal goals with other people? Random topic.
I like that because you know how I get. if I'm talking to the true homies, they are going to keep me grounded and accountable. Now, if I'm just out here yapping it up on the internet and I'm like, yo, I'm shooting 68 at some point in 2025 to some Randys, then yeah, I think it's a bad route. But if I'm explaining this to you and to Mike and to like mom, true fans of who I am as a person, regardless of what we're doing, then yeah, I'm gonna express that to them. Like you know where I'm trying to go. You know what I'm trying to do. I'm not ever gonna keep that away from you. But like, a coworker or something like that, they don't need to know the intricacies of all my goals. They need to know that I'm trying to get better. They need to know that I'm trying to make the next step. They need to know that I'm trying to grow my career. But yeah, that's a very good question. And that's something that is very, you know, it's a touchy subject because
It's like
some
subject. It's
people,
person to person,
yeah,
right?
bro, it really is. Because some people could go down a deep dive, and then now all of a sudden, man, bro, I told Malcolm I'm going to shoot 95. I haven't broke 105 yet. You done got all this stuff in your head, bro. You got to let that go. So, yeah, that's a really good question.
I'm just curious. Like,
How do you
does that?
feel?
I kind of feel like sharing it with the not the with the world, right? Because then the
That's a lot
internet,
of
it
pressure
seems
sometimes, too.
it's it is, but I think within your group, sharing goals and holding yourself accountable, right,
Yeah,
can be helpful because the right type
right.
of people can motivate you, get you where you need to be. That extra push that you may not have internally, but also like the embarrassment because you do want to make people proud of you, right? And so
Yeah,
there's a good pressure too to say, okay, I don't want to fail. Um, you know, to be able to manage the pressure that is already there. So just something I was
agree.
been thinking about. So anyhow, all right, good show this week. Kept it tight, kept it under an hour. We'll be back next week. Of course, the LPGA ladies will be back on. We'll figure out the timing on the show. We got some things coming up this week that hopefully we can have some positive things to talk about. Um, LPGA ladies will be back. First time for the PGA back in Utah in a long time. The Black Desert Classic. So that'll be an interesting course to check out.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll be back at it. So I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Bitter Bros Golf Show. We'll catch y'all next week.